guys doing? My name is Josie Carr. I'm an electronic musician, producer, and NYU professor for electronic music production and music software. Today I'll be talking about how to create a drum machine designer from any sample using Logic Pro X. Let's do it. So here I have a project open. There's an empty audio track, and we're going to add the sample that we're going to use. I'm going to go into the files area right here, and I'm going to navigate to all the files and navigate to the place I've saved them to. And here I have them in a folder on my desktop, and I'm going to be using this sample right here. It's a very simple sample, 4 bars. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is click it. I'm going to hold it and I'm going to drag it into the tracks area. Logic Pro has a few ways to handle samples. It has the sampler that's sort of like the simpler in Ableton. It will play one sample. It has an original and optimized version of it. The original keeps the original tuning and everything else. Optimized, Logic will try to decipher which is the best tuning and the best cutting and sampling of slices for it. Drum Machine Designer, which is obviously what we're going to convert a sample into. Alchemy as well, and it has Sampler. Sampler allows you to play multiple samples at one time. So I'm going to stick with the original Quick Sampler. And as you guys can see, it opened up Sampler. Remember, Sampler only plays one sample at a time. And it has 4 modes here on top. It has Slicing, One Shot, Classic. Classic means I have to keep my finger on it for it to play the entire sample, and it would allow me to play different pitches when I play different keys on my keyboard. One shot, if I hit it one time and let go, it will play the entire sample. Slicing means it would take that sample and cut it up into slices, and it's exactly what we want to do. But remember, it can only play one sample at a time. Okay, and then record it allows us to record directly into the sampler as well. Here at the bottom, it has, if I go in classic mode, my tempo is 120. If I turn on follow tempo, it will change according to whatever tempo I have. So if I were to bring it down, let's say to bring it up to 196, some ridiculous stuff. Doesn't matter what pitch I hit, it's always going to play it at that tempo. Okay, so I'm going to just bring it down to the original tempo, which was 160. Doesn't matter. But just in case you guys were trying to figure out how to bring in a sample and keep it in time, bring it into Sampler. Turn on follow tempo. So let's go into Slice right here. Slicing is great, right? Because now this is where I'm going to go in and say, hey, I want this to be one sample. I don't necessarily want that second one. Actually, it's not that bad, but just in case let's say I didn't want it, I'm double click and get rid of it. Now I have a kick with a little bit of a hi-hat at the end, which is not bad. I don't mind. I'm actually going to do it to all of them. So I'm simply going to my kicks because I don't want that second little hi-hat in there. And I don't like the way it's chopping up the snare either here. Okay, and I would actually play it, by the way. Yeah, that's actually nice. Get rid of that one as well. Let's get rid of this one. And let's see what that sounds like. There's a little hi-hat at the end. I don't mind. I can always edit it later. Cool. So I'm pretty happy with the slices the way that I want them. Now, the reason why I want to convert this into my own drum rack is because I like those sounds. I want to use them for my production. I also want to be able to manipulate them independently. For example, if I wanted to change the pitch of this snare right here, okay, and I were to change it, my entire sample is going to be affected, and that's not what I want. So that's another reason why I would want to convert it into a drum machine designer or a drum kit of its own. So once I'm happy with those guys, I'm pretty good. The next thing we need to do is go right here to the action pop-up menu, and from it create a drum machine designer track. Okay. And it's going to give you a warning sign that I may have too many slices, so be mindful of that. I think the cap is 48. So let's close that out, and let's close up the files here, and let's see what it did for us. it created a new instrument track, and on that track it created a MIDI clip. Okay, and we can see the MIDI clip as well. Let's close this out just for the sake of it, of the sample itself, which I'm not going to keep because I just want the sounds. I don't particularly want to work with that pattern. So for now, I'm just going to get rid of it. Go back into here, and here we have it. If I were to click on the first one, we can see the kick, and then now it allows me to go in there and kind of manipulate the kick and make sure that I like the beginning and the endings of it. Zoom out. I can't stress enough, the more work that you do here, the easier it's going to be for you later on, because you want to worry about, you know, production, not editing when you're working. So this is kind of like a fade out at the end, the top flag, and the bottom one is the actual ending of the sample itself. Okay, so keep that in mind. The best work you do here, the easier it's going to be for you. And notice that I'm in one shot because it is one sample. The next thing I would do, double click on it, give it a name, kick one. And another thing I would do, right click on it and crop it. Why? Because I only want the kick. I don't want the rest of the sample, right? And notice here, by the way, and let me go back here to this sample here. Essentially what every one of these pads is using, its own sampler. See that? That's one sampler for it. That's another sampler for it. Okay, we can see the second one. Again, the second thing I would do, kick. I'm going to go to the fourth one just to make the video a little bit faster for us, right? I like that, and I'm just going to name that one clap. Okay, clap one. I'm also going to crop it, and I'm also, remember, make sure your endings are good. I'm doing this video for you guys. I'm trying to make it fast, so I'm not being that tedious, but I would highly recommend you guys do that. Right click on it, crop it. Now, since every one of these pads is using its own sampler, it allows me to go into the sampler detail and change just the pitch of that sound. I'm going to be ridiculous, and I actually changed this one. I'm sorry. Let me go to clap right here, and I'm going to bring this one entirely down so you guys can hear it. I can also filter it. I can also add some LFOs to it. I can change the attack decay on just that one sound. And I can go to pad controls, also add some reverb to it. I'm going to be ridiculous just so we can hear it. And we can add some delay to it, whatever you want to do to it, you can. Okay. So once I'm done with that, I'm pretty cool. The next thing we obviously want to do now is save it. Okay. So to save it, there's a few ways that we can do that. We'll do the fastest way, open up the library. Make sure you're on the right track. And here at the bottom, let's make sure, first of all, we're on this kit right here. If you're on a pad, by the way, and you open up the library, it's just going to save that one sound. So make sure you click on the name of the rack, and you guys can see that it's going to change to the rack. So keep that in mind. Don't open the library when you have a pad selected. Open the library when you have the drum kit selected, or make sure that when the library is open, you actually have it. So now we hit save, and now I can name it drum kit, whatever name you want to give it. JC for me. It's going to save it. Okay. And if I want to use it again in any other project, all I have to do is create an instrument track right here. Software instrument track. Open my library. And so you guys can see it, I'll go to user patches right here and double click on drum kit. It's going to add it to that track. And if I open it up, you guys are going to see that I have all the samples that I'm using. I hope that's been useful. And as I do with you guys in every video, quick recap. Let me close my library, close my piano roll. First thing we did was we loaded the sample we wanted to use. In my case, I'm using this one. Drag it into the tracks area. I selected original quick sampler. It created, it added the loop or sample into the quick sampler. I'm in slice mode, so it's giving me that. If I want less slices, by the way, I can change the sensitivity of it as well. I can slice it by beat divisions and so forth if I wanted to as well. In this case, I opted to keep the sensitivity where it was at. And I just simply went through the sounds and selected the sounds that I want of the slices. And I got rid of some of those because I didn't want slices in those particular areas. I went through all of it, made sure it was nice and neat. And once I was done with that and happy with it, I went to the action pop-up menu right here. And I said create drum machine designer. It's saying that the maximum of markers that I can have is 48. Fine, I don't have 48. I have less than 48, I think. I think I might have more than 48, but who knows. Okay. And once it does that, it'll bring it in. I can click on it and see it. And remember, every one of those pads has its own sampler. Hence, if we change the pitching, add effects to one pad, it won't affect the rest. And that's the whole point. We want to do that. Highly recommended. Double click on it. Give it a name, so you know what it is. Okay. Crop it so you don't have the entire sample there as well. And now you can change the direction you want on that sound. You can EQ it. You can add effects and so forth. And always, you can always do it and change it as you want. Once you're happy with that, we want to save it. So I want to make sure that I click up here so we can actually see it. Open up my library. I can see that it's going to select that kit. And here at the bottom, it has the save option. Hit the save option. Give it a name, save it. I've already saved this, so I'm not going to save it again. To use it again, simply create a new instrument track. Okay. Open your library, navigate to your user patches, and you're going to see it there. Double click to load it onto the highlighted track. Okay, let's open it up so we can see it. And now we can see that we have those samples. I still have I saved it with that setting, and it's a new project, right? So I can reset myself for the new project. See that? Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, let's go back to the main one. And back where I started. All up to you. So I hope that has been helpful. I hope to see you guys again soon. Ciao for now.